Have you ever seen someone so unpredictable that you truly can't guess what they'll do next? That's exactly why Speed's explosive rise to online fame has captivated millions. Nobody can predict what he'll say or how far he'll push the limits. Yet underneath the wild antics lies a whirlwind of surprising addictions, chaotic adventures, mind-blowing generosity, and genuine heartbreak. Today, we're revealing 20 of the most astonishing facts about Speed, from a bizarre sniffing habit that defies explanation to the emotional struggle behind his larger-than-life persona. Get comfortable because every new piece of this puzzle is more shocking than the last. Speed's fans have whispered about it, but most people still can't believe it's real. He has a sniffing addiction. It sounds almost comical, until you see him do it in public, sometimes without any warning. Imagine being the person he leans in to sniff, not knowing whether to laugh or be completely disturbed. What makes it even stranger is how he's managed to keep this habit front and center in his content. He's done it to women he's attracted to, but also to guys he's barely met, making it clear that there's no discrimination when it comes to his bizarre fascination. No one is off limits. His sniffing spree has happened at parties, on live streams, and occasionally even in the middle of conversations. It's a habit that stuns people into silence and leaves them with a story they won't soon forget. Yet, for Speed, it's all part of the show. He knows it's borderline inappropriate, but that only seems to fuel him more. If viewers thought sniffing girls on camera was bold, they were in for a shock when he started doing it to guys too. The strangest part is that half the time he doesn't even ask permission. But on at least one occasion, he did politely request a sniff, demonstrating that deep down Speed might have some boundary awareness. Then again, that doesn't always mean he'll respect it. Just when onlookers thought they'd seen it all, Speed went for someone who identified as trans, challenging any assumption that his sniffing might be limited to a specific demographic. For him, a human is a human, and apparently everyone's fair game for a good whiff. But that's far from the only outrageous detail in this story. The next part might be even more unbelievable. Speed's romantic escapades have been the subject of endless speculation. He's been spotted with so many individuals that even his own mother had to step in to voice her disapproval. During one live stream, she practically marched into the room to question why Speed kept inviting various love interests to the house. It was more than just a stern talking to. It was an emotional plea for her son to get his act together. Yet, Speed skillfully tried to cover his tracks by claiming the girl in question was just a cousin of a friend. Needless to say, his mother wasn't convinced. Before his dating life spiraled into open chaos, he had a well-known high school sweetheart named Aaliyah. Rumors circulated that she looked younger than she actually was, sparking occasional controversy among viewers. Speed insisted she was of age, but that did little to quiet the critics who felt uncomfortable watching their interactions. Despite his relationship with Aaliyah playing out like an episode of teenage drama, it was just the beginning of a much larger storyline. At one point, Speed nearly got married while traveling in India, a spur-of-the-moment proposal that left people wondering whether he was completely serious or just desperate for more online clout. He made a huge show out of it, even teasing his fans that he might come back as a newlywed. Ultimately, he changed his mind at the last second and the wedding never happened. But that close call didn't slow him down. The revolving door of girlfriends continued until he introduced his latest partner, Vanessa, proclaiming she was the one. He introduced her on camera, telling everyone she was special. At first, she looked nervous, maybe uncertain about how Speed's massive audience would judge her. Whether she'll stick around remains to be seen, but so far, her arrival hasn't exactly toned down Speed's antics. Sometimes, the drama only seems to escalate with each new person who enters his life. Just when Speed's love life seemed complicated enough, he pulled a stunt that drained his wallet in real time. While traveling, he found himself face-to-face with his second-favorite football star, Alicia Lehman. Caught in a swirl of excitement, Speed decided he'd buy her a fancy watch, specifically a pricey Rolex, on a whim. This might have started as an over-the-top joke, but the situation quickly spun out of control. Alicia began playing along, half laughing as she picked out the watch, leaving Speed to grapple with the staggering cost. Sweat beaded on his forehead as the shop employee asked him to complete the transaction. He tried to backpedal, claiming he wasn't actually Bill Gates or Mr. Beast and couldn't afford such a splurge. But the more he protested, the more awkward the situation became. Viewers watched him panic in real time, fumbling over his words. Was he really about to drop tens of thousands on a whim? He tried to cancel at the register, but the staff seemed confused and Alicia looked amused, if slightly embarrassed. In the end, Speed darted out of the store, refusing to sign the receipt. That impulsive generosity didn't just cost him money. Alicia also ended up unfollowing him on social media. Whether that was because of the watch fiasco or something else remains unclear, but it was another reminder that Speed's spontaneity can backfire spectacularly. Yet, the watch story pales in comparison to what happened in Thailand, where Speed decided to take part in a bizarre water boxing competition. Initially, it seemed like another entertaining livestream stunt, until something truly expensive fell into the water. And that's where the next chapter begins. In Thailand, Speed stumbled on a challenge where two people box on a narrow platform suspended above the water. The idea is simple. If you get punched off the platform, you splash right into the water. Speed was ecstatic, calling it the perfect chance to show off his competitive spirit. And at first it looked like fun. He even won his match, throwing playful jabs and celebrating as the crowd cheered him on. But victory was short-lived. The moment he stepped away, he realized his expensive earrings, the same ones he wore religiously in every stream, were missing. With a panicked expression, he realized they must have slipped off and fallen into the water during the scuffle. The diamond earrings were rumored to be worth $50,000, an amount that would leave most people in shock. Speed searched frantically, but the murky water wasn't giving anything up easily. The panic in his voice was raw and unfiltered. He kept repeating how big of a financial blow this was, half laughing in disbelief and half crying in frustration. But in a twist nobody saw coming, another YouTuber staying in Thailand came to his rescue. This person spent days diving in the area, finally discovering the earrings and returning them to Speed on camera. The gratitude on Speed's face was unmistakable. It was a rare moment where his over-the-top persona seemed to vanish, replaced by genuine relief. If losing expensive jewelry in a water boxing competition sounds outrageous, Speed's next stunt takes the insanity to entirely new levels, ones that could have cost him far more than money. Speed's obsession with flashy physical feats didn't stop at boxing above water. In Australia, he flirted with a dangerous cliff-jumping challenge. The plan was to leap off a rock formation into the ocean below, something local thrill-seekers often do under watchful eyes. But Speed took it to the extreme by trying to combine the jump with a backflip. As he stood on the cliff's edge, the wind whipping through his hair, he gave a triumphant shout. Then he launched himself into mid-air. For a heart-stopping moment, viewers weren't sure if he'd even land properly in the water. The backflip looked shaky, and as soon as he hit the water, chaos broke out. Waves tumbled over him, and he seemed to lose his sense of direction. Suddenly, his frantic voice could be heard screaming for help. Others rushed to pull him back to shore. Once he was safe on the rocks, Speed looked visibly shaken, though he tried to laugh it off as a near miss. Fans later found out he'd bruised his ribs and swallowed more seawater than any doctor would recommend. Yet, the ordeal did little to deter him from dangerous stunts. His near drowning in Australia wasn't the only time that his obsession with backflips nearly cost him dearly. On another occasion, a crowd gathered to cheer him on for a flip attempt, but he botched the landing and crashed onto his back. The pain was evident, but Speed's immediate reaction was to jump up and laugh, as though ignoring the obvious discomfort. Later, when a coach tried to show him the proper technique, Speed insisted on turning it into an even bigger spectacle. Whether it's bravado or recklessness, or both, he can't seem to resist the allure of danger. For someone who's so often the butt of his own jokes, Speed is surprisingly athletic. Most fans know he's passionate about football or soccer for those in the US. He's shown off his sprints and dribbling skills on multiple live streams, sometimes challenging local players or even semi-pros to a quick match. Despite the playful atmosphere, Speed has displayed bursts of real talent, sprinting past defenders and scoring goals in ways that left audiences wondering how much potential he might have if he ever trained seriously. During one outdoor livestream, he even managed to leave a professional player red-faced. Footage shows Speed zigzagging down the field, outsmarting defenders, and shooting the ball into the net. The spectators erupted in cheers that were equal parts astonishment and amusement. Another time, he showcased his raw strength by beating former kickboxing champion Alex Pereira's score on a punching machine. Alex's jaw dropped when Speed's score flashed on the machine, proving that he had some serious power behind his punches. It was a bizarre spectacle. The famously boisterous Speed outperformed a man known for his combat skills. Those who've labeled Speed a joke streamer might be surprised to discover he isn't just about goofing off. His flips, jumps, sprints, and above all, his endless energy show that beneath the outlandish behavior is a physically capable individual. But just as quickly as he can pivot to peak athleticism, he finds himself in controversies that make people forget about his hidden talents altogether. In the world of streaming, drama lurks around every corner. Speed has learned this the hard way, whether he's making a baby cry in a mall or getting into a heated argument with another streamer. The baby incident remains one of the most talked about controversies in Speed's career. He was joking around, challenging random people to silly games, when he blurted out something that frightened a child. The baby started wailing, and the parent immediately turned hostile. Speed tried to apologize, claiming it was an accident, but tension escalated until he practically had to flee the scene. That might have been brushed off as an unfortunate misunderstanding if Speed didn't have a similar knack for attracting trouble with adults. In a memorable exchange, he and another content creator named Gion traded verbal jabs on livestream. Gion mocked Speed's dance moves and teased him about the long list of women he publicly flirted with. Speed, normally quick with comebacks, took it personally. The insults went back and forth until the conversation became almost too uncomfortable to watch. Viewers who were used to seeing Speed laugh everything off were startled to see him genuinely angered. This altercation was one of the rare moments where Speed momentarily dropped his comedic facade and let raw emotions spill out. However, Speed isn't just a harbinger of chaos. He can also be unexpectedly generous and empathetic, especially when interacting with vulnerable people. One time, a young girl confessed she'd lost her father in the army and was struggling with the emotional pain. Instead of cracking jokes, Speed went silent, then softly offered to be there if she ever needed someone to talk to. It was a heartfelt exchange that reminded fans Speed isn't always the clown the internet paints him to be. While Speed is often remembered for wild outbursts, there are moments where he shows genuine compassion. During one stream, a man who appeared to be homeless approached him asking for help to buy some food. Without hesitation, Speed led him into a nearby store, encouraging him to pick out whatever he wanted. Water, snacks, a burrito. Speed insisted on covering it all, pressing extra cash into the man's hand. The look of relief and gratitude in that stranger's face spoke volumes. Similarly, during a trip to India, Speed encountered a woman in need and impulsively gave her a sizable amount of money. When she started crying, overwhelmed by his generosity, he tried to calm her down, telling her it was okay and that he hoped it would help change her situation. These acts of kindness stand in stark contrast to the drama that usually surrounds him. Many fans suspect his own upbringing, marked by limited resources and a complicated home life, motivates him to help people whenever he can. But not every emotional moment is uplifting. Sometimes Speed cracks at exactly the wrong time. A heartbreaking instance happened when a viewer opened up about their mother being homeless. Instead of responding with immediate compassion, Speed initially fought back a grin, seemingly caught off guard and unsure how to respond. The viewer called him out, feeling disrespected. Realizing his mistake, Speed quickly apologized, yet the awkwardness of that moment lingered. It served as a reminder that while Speed might have a good heart, his comedic instincts don't always align with the serious emotions of those around him. A recurring theme in Speed's life is his complicated relationship with his parents. He spent his childhood primarily under his mother's roof, which meant he barely saw his father. By the time they reconnected, Speed had already skyrocketed to online fame, and their father-son bond developed more on camera than off. Nowadays, Speed's dad has become a content creator himself, sometimes filming pranks that target Speed. Their dynamic often feels playful, but it also hints at unresolved tensions from the years they missed together. His mother, on the other hand, appears openly frustrated by Speed's streaming lifestyle. She has walked in on him mid-broadcast multiple times, telling him off in front of thousands of viewers. Whether it's about the noise, the chaos, or the women he brings home, she doesn't hide her disapproval. One confrontation got so heated that Speed fired back with sarcasm and eye-rolling, which only fueled her anger. That interaction ended with the mother shouting about not wanting any more nonsense under her roof. Still, their relationship is more complex than just motherly scolding and teenage rebellion. Speed has mentioned that his mom worked hard to keep the household running during his childhood, sometimes juggling multiple responsibilities. Part of her frustration now might be concern, wondering if Speed's streaming antics will escalate beyond control. Whether the relationship will improve or deteriorate remains an open question, but it's clear that for better or worse, family is a significant source of conflict and motivation in Speed's life. Speed's massive popularity has one serious downside. A subset of fans take things too far. Swatting, the act of falsely reporting a crime so that a SWAT team storms a streamer's home, has become an unfortunate reality for him. More than once, Speed has been in the middle of a live stream when police officers burst in, yelling instructions and asking if someone was being held hostage. Each time, Speed looks visibly shaken and frustrated, forced to repeatedly explain that nothing is wrong. The cost of these swatting incidents isn't just emotional, it also strains local law enforcement resources and puts Speed at risk. Imagine heavily armed officers storming your bedroom, unsure whether the threat they've been told about is real or staged. This sort of harassment has happened both at Speed's personal residence and at hotels when he travels. On one occasion, he was enjoying a tattoo session on livestream when the police arrived. Shocked and confused, the artist and Speed had to halt everything while the officers investigated. As bizarre as it sounds, some fans see swatting as a twisted prank to get Speed's attention or test his ability to handle adversity. Yet every episode is nerve-wracking, forcing him to defend himself in situations that feel downright surreal. The frequency of these incidents has led to Speed becoming more cautious about revealing his location. He might love the spotlight, but he's also learned that too much exposure can invite genuine danger. Beneath the chaotic exterior, Speed has spent serious time honing unexpected skills. One that often shocks people is his knack for languages. He's been heard speaking snippets of Brazilian Portuguese, Spanish, and even diving into other dialects for comedic effect. He claims that listening to music from different countries helps him pick up words and phrases rapidly. After immersing himself in Brazilian funk for a few months, he felt comfortable enough to hold entire conversations with locals during his travels. This ability has come in handy during awkward live stream moments when Speed tries to bond with strangers abroad. The reactions range from impressed to baffled. No one expects this loud American streamer to rattle off words in a foreign tongue with surprising accuracy. Sometimes he mixes real vocabulary with comedic nonsense, which only adds to the confusion. Though he rarely pronounces everything perfectly, viewers can't deny his growing fluency. He also mentions that he can speak what he jokingly calls BS, a playful reference to how he occasionally fakes languages he doesn't know. The linguistic side of Speed might not garner as much attention as his risk-taking stunts, but it offers a glimpse of someone who is more resourceful and curious than people realize. He invests time in learning, even if he disguises it as a joke. That's the paradox of Speed. One moment he's making everyone cringe with bizarre behavior, and the next, he's impressing them with hidden talents. Speaking of hidden talents, Speed's dance moves are something to behold, if not for their grace, then for their sheer energy. During a trip to Brazil, he tried to blend in with local dancers, gyrating and spinning in a style reminiscent of Brazilian funk music videos. While some teased him for looking out of place, others admired his enthusiasm. He later proved his dancing wasn't a fluke when he battled Kai, a fellow content creator, on a stream. Kai, known for his own comedic dance bits, was clearly taken aback by Speed's unrelenting commitment to the groove. For Speed, dance is another extension of his persona. He uses it to fill awkward silences, to celebrate small victories, or simply to stir up the chat. Critics argue it's just more hyperactive showmanship, but fans find it endearing. Dancing with other men on stream has sparked jokes and accusations about Speed being sus, especially given his habit of walking around shirtless and making off-color comments. However, Speed seems to revel in these jokes, turning them into memes rather than shying away. Awkwardness is practically Speed's currency. He takes pride in saying things that catch people off guard. Whether it's making a random statement about feeling someone's stomach, or blurting out comments that border on inappropriate, there's a thin line between comedic awkwardness and genuinely making people uncomfortable. One notorious example is when he engaged in a bizarre exchange with fans. They dared him to do something outlandish, and he responded by going shirtless and screaming nonsensical phrases. At first, the chat found it hilarious, until some realized it was teetering into unsettling territory. Yet Speed, true to form, didn't back down. He continued the antics, repeating each phrase with even more gusto. His reasoning? People were watching, so why not give them a show? Often it's the people around Speed who suffer the brunt of these uncomfortable moments. Whether it's a random passerby or a close friend, they never quite know which version of Speed they're going to get. When the stakes are high and tensions are palpable, Speed's comedic approach can either diffuse the situation or make it 100 times worse. Sometimes Speed's younger relatives join his streams, assuming they'll just watch or crack a few jokes in the background. However, Speed once caught his little brother hiding something on a shared computer. Out of curiosity, Speed decided to check the browsing history only to find questionable websites and explicit search terms. The chat erupted with laughter as Speed interrogated his brother, who tried to deflect by insisting it was just Roblox pet simulator codes. Speed's brother eventually admitted to lying, and Speed acted outraged, feeling both betrayed and amused. The entire incident underscored the bizarre dynamic in their household. Boundaries don't exist, and everything is fair game for public display. It's the perfect embodiment of living life on the internet. Nothing stays hidden for long. Speed's trust in his friends and collaborators isn't always rewarded. In one of his wildest stunts, he agreed to let a tattoo artist ink him while he was blindfolded. The promise was that he'd get a portrait of Cristiano Ronaldo, his favorite footballer of all time. Viewers watched in suspense as Speed tried to guess what part of Ronaldo's face was being inked, hoping for a masterpiece worthy of framing. When the blindfold came off, Speed stared in disbelief at the tattoo. Instead of Ronaldo, it was a stylized portrait of Lionel Messi, Ronaldo's rival. For a moment, he froze. Then anger, disappointment, and confusion washed over him. He yelled at the artist, furious that he'd been deceived. Viewers saw tears in his eyes, as if his entire identity as a Ronaldo superfan had been thrown into question. It took him a while to calm down, and he threatened to have the tattoo removed. In a quiet moment after the initial outburst, he confessed that he felt embarrassed and betrayed. The Messi tattoo instantly became an internet sensation, with fans and critics alike mocking the unexpected twist. Some speculated that Speed's fans had orchestrated the prank, paying off the artist for the ultimate humiliation. Others felt bad for him, arguing that this went beyond a harmless gag. Either way, the incident is now cemented in Speed lore. Adding insult to injury, someone reached out to Speed pretending to have arranged a live call with the real Cristiano Ronaldo. Excited beyond belief, Speed set up a special live stream, announcing that his dream of talking to Ronaldo was finally coming true. His fans were equally hyped, spamming the chat with messages of support. As Speed closed his eyes and waited for the big reveal, someone walked in. When Speed looked up, it wasn't Cristiano Ronaldo at all, it was a lookalike. A prank orchestrated to capitalize on his heartbreak over the Messi tattoo. The shock on Speed's face was palpable. At first he thought maybe Ronaldo was going to appear after the lookalike, but as the seconds ticked by, it became clear that this was a hoax. Chat messages poured in, with half the audience laughing hysterically, and the other half feeling secondhand embarrassment. Speed tried to play it cool, but the disappointment was hard to hide. This wasn't a lighthearted prank. It was a direct attack on something he cherished deeply. Living in the public eye means Speed is never truly off the clock. Every slip-up or emotional reaction becomes content for viewers to dissect. His fans revel in the chaos, cheering him on when he does something outrageous. Critics, on the other hand, label him an attention-seeking showman who relies on shock value to stay relevant. In many ways, they're both right. Speed has crafted a persona that thrives on unpredictability, but he's also shown brief glimpses of vulnerability, hinting at a complex individual behind the pranks. One thing is certain, Speed's audience is massive. That audience includes trolls who push the boundaries for their own amusement, whether by swatting him or by orchestrating elaborate pranks that cost him money or heartbreak. Speed's response is typically to double down, pushing the envelope further. He's become addicted to the adrenaline rush that comes with each major livestream event. Yet, the more stunts he pulls, the more he risks alienating the people closest to him, like his family or long-term friends who worry about how far he'll go for views. Behind the cameras, there's Darren, the young man who adopted the Speed persona. Some say Speed is merely a character, an amplified version of Darren's personality designed to grab attention. When the cameras switch off, Darren occasionally peeks through, especially when he's comforting a grieving fan or showing genuine concern for a homeless stranger. That dissonance creates a mystery. Is Speed just a performance? Or has the line between performer and real person blurred beyond recognition? Viewers have caught moments where the mask slips. For instance, during the fiasco with the watch purchase for Alicia Lehman, Speed seemed genuinely mortified when faced with a potential financial disaster. That raw, unfiltered panic looked nothing like his usual bombastic self. Another example was when he almost drowned during the Australian cliff jump. The terror in his eyes seemed too real to be an act. These moments serve as reminders that behind the comedic bravado is a human being who experiences fear, pain, and occasional regret. Every controversial incident, every random act of kindness, and every breathtaking stunt adds another layer to Speed's legend. Love him or hate him, you can't deny he's crafted an online world where the unexpected feels normal. His fans tune in for that spark of unpredictability, that sense that literally anything could happen. Some people have tried to emulate his style, but few can maintain the same level of energy and chaos without burning out. Speed's brand of shock content raises questions about how far internet creators should go to entertain their audiences. Critics argue he sets a dangerous example, encouraging younger fans to seek attention at any cost. Supporters counter that Speed's just being Speed, unfiltered, flawed, but undeniably entertaining. The debate highlights a broader discussion about internet culture and whether too far even exists as a concept in the digital era. Speed's journey is a kaleidoscope of controversy, excitement, generosity, and heartbreak. He's the wild prankster ready to sniff strangers, the daredevil plunging into risky challenges, the impulsive gift-giver who thinks nothing of throwing cash at someone in need, and the grieving superfan undone by a fake Ronaldo call. Whether you see him as an agent of chaos or a misunderstood entertainer, there's no denying his impact. Yet, there's a deeper layer to this story that resonates with anyone who's ever felt pulled between ambition and authenticity. Behind each stunt is a person grappling with fears, dreams, and moral lines that shift with every new opportunity. Maybe Speed's unhinged behavior is an extreme response to the pressures of sudden fame. Maybe it's a deliberate strategy to keep audiences hooked. Either way, his saga begs the question: how far will he go before he either finds a balance or crashes headlong into the consequences of perpetual mayhem? As you turn the story over in your mind, ask yourself if Speed's life is a cautionary tale, an inspiring example of perseverance, or simply a reflection of the internet's insatiable appetite for drama. Whichever angle you choose, one fact remains: Speed will keep pushing boundaries, and there's no telling what outrageous chapter he'll write next. If you thought you knew every side of him, think again, because the wildest twist might still be waiting just around the corner.